But the best, the NBA has always been at its best when the best player is also the biggest star. Magic, Shaq, LeBron, Curry. That's MJ, obviously. So your best player is your biggest star. Where the NBA gets into trouble is when your best player isn't your biggest star. SGA, Jokic, Tim Duncan, Moses Malone won back-to-back MVPs. That's when the league's kind of swimming and feels rudderless. So a Spurs championship would guarantee and mean the best player, Wemby, best two-way player right now, would be the biggest star. I don't know if it happens this year. It may start next year. But they did beat in a Game 7 the defending champs. Boxing has a unification bout. The NBA, in my opinion, could use theirs. So New York against Wemby is a no-lose proposition for the league. The Knicks either get their first championship in 53 years. They're charging now more for tickets than Manhattan rent. Google it. It's true. Or Wemby begins a Bill Russell, Jordan, Magic, Bird, Shaq-like transformation of the league. There is so much to like about New York. They're older. Their wings are big and physical. Karl Anthony Towns is the best shooting big maybe ever. Brunson's on a heater. OG matches up, we think, with Wemby, and they've actually played very well against the Spurs this season. There's so much to like about New York in this series. But I can't get past this number. When Wemby plays just 15 minutes, 15 minutes, the Spurs are 39-6.
Absolutely. It's not like we're standing at the doorstep of Wembanyama taking command. He's already in charge. I genuinely don't understand why we keep circling the same debate. As I mentioned before, we've already been watching the opening chapter of what will be his GOAT-level career arc. I tried to drive this point home so emphatically in my last video. We are witnessing the start of everything. This isn't a question of, well, will it actually happen, or are we about to see it? No. We are right in the thick of it. We are smack dab in the middle. You know how in a movie like The Hangover or something similar, the story just kicks off right in the middle of the chaos, and you're left sitting there thinking, whoa, what's even going on? That's precisely where we are right now with Wembanyama. That's where we stand with the San Antonio Spurs. You either recognize this reality, or you're already behind the curve. Plain and simple. Before I get into the details, Spurs fans, please, I am begging you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and watch the entire video. When you do that, the view counts shoot through the roof, and the subscriber numbers follow. And this isn't about chasing empty metrics. It's about being able to produce San Antonio Spurs content that people genuinely want to watch and talk about. So we can keep having the most neutral, grounded, and honest conversations about this team. It makes a massive difference, and I would truly, truly appreciate it. But yes. First of all, nobody is a good matchup against Wembanyama. The very idea is ridiculous. When someone says, I think player X matches up well against him, no. Just no. He's Wembanyama. There is no matchup. This statistic right here proves that point. And this is just one very specific analytical data point. I mean, I get excited because Colin is essentially saying that you need Wembanyama and the Spurs to win in order to save the NBA, right? So the league isn't lost, so to speak. So we're not all asking, where are we right now as a league? And the reality is, you're seeing this shift happen now. People are starting to recognize it. Let me put it this way. First, there was a certain amount of doubt surrounding Wembanyama, correct? Then everyone always comes back with, oh, don't tell me he's going to be great. We have no idea what he'll become. Oh, he'll get injured, this and that, right? All that typical noise. Which is fairly normal. That's par for the course, it makes sense, whatever. Snorts, then he starts playing and finding success, but of course, this is how you truly identify the haters. Because they say, oh, I thought he was supposed to be amazing. oh, I thought he'd do this or that. And it's just like, it's his second year. Or his first year, right? This is the very beginning of his professional life. What do you expect? That he could simply stroll onto the court and immediately drop 100 points and grab 500 rebounds, and just win it all right away? Me on. This is basketball. It requires time. It takes years, okay? Then he starts dominating. Completely, utterly, positively dominating. Dominating. And now you're beginning to see the genuine hatred. Now you're starting to see people actively trying to root against him. Right? There were folks who simply had doubts, which again makes total sense. It's completely understandable to have doubts about any player, any situation, any team. But then that doubt transforms into hate. Then it turns into active opposition. I want you to lose. I don't want you to win. I always talk about this when it comes to sports. You're either cheering for someone or you're cheering against someone. That's just how it works. People were rooting for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, and they were rooting against the Chiefs. They were rooting for the Seahawks, and they were rooting against the Patriots. Right? Like, they're rooting against Josh Allen, or they're rooting for the Broncos and Bo Nix. There are people who watch games simply for the purpose of rooting against certain players or teams. I used to be one of those people, but then I naturally changed over time. I just thought to myself, I don't want to be that person anymore. Especially because I want to be able to talk about all the teams fairly. And so, to be honest, there are still moments in the back of my mind where I might be subtly rooting against a specific situation. More so because it would validate my analysis, and I just want to be correct in my predictions. And it's just that, we find ourselves in a rather interesting situation with the ongoing narrative surrounding Wembanyama. Like, don't misunderstand me. Obviously, Wembanyama is becoming insanely popular, breaking through every ceiling, and all of that. But at the same time, he is generating more and more hatred with each passing day. People are saying, oh, Wembanyama is flopping now. I remember even Nick Wright randomly said that. He was like, oh, now Wembanyama is starting to flop. And it's just, what? Like, wait, what? Because that is now the ultimate scarlet letter. Oh, he flops. Remember when they tried to make fun of how he gets some of his rebounds? Someone said, well, of course he gets those rebounds, he's so tall. And I don't even know how to respond to a comment like that. But you can see the conversations around Wembanyama and the Spurs team in general, they are just getting progressively stranger. It's getting a little bit weirder. So, the energy heading into this playoff series is going to be absolutely fascinating. Because people don't inherently love New York as a whole anymore. Right? Obviously, back in their heyday, everybody loved the Yankees. And you have the Knicks, the Giants, it's New York, a massive city. But over time, things have shifted. It used to be cool to wear a Yankees cap, and I don't know if that's really the case anymore. I don't really think that's still true. If anything, it's cooler to wear a Spurs hat, or an OKC hat, or sticking with baseball, a Dodgers cap. That's what's cooler now. Yankees hats used to be everywhere, no matter what was happening. And obviously they're still wildly popular, and New York is enormous. But still, right now, it feels like the Knicks are the story that everyone wants to get behind. The Jalen Brunson guy, right? People want to see that team rise to the occasion. They want to see that narrative come to life. They think that's a better story than someone like Wembanyama coming in and just conquering everything right out of the gate. That always feels strange. That was actually one of the biggest problems that set up LeBron James for a tremendous amount of hate. People were saying he would be better than Michael Jordan, and they said that before he ever played a single NBA game. And the public reaction was, I automatically hate this guy now. I automatically want to root against him because of what you're saying about him before he's even done anything. And it feels like we're getting similar flavors of that with Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs. It's funny because I was discussing this with my mom. And my mom is such a perfect barometer for these kinds of things because, by definition, she's a casual fan. She's a mom, right? But she watches all the sports, football, basketball, baseball, and she knows as much as you can know without being fully locked in. She's not going To know every single detail, but once she learns something, she knows it. I'll say, "Who's that?" and she'll answer, "That's Castle." And now she knows who Castle is. So she is, by definition, a casual fan, and it's really interesting to have access to that perspective. And the one thing she said was, while watching the end of Game 7, watching them celebrate, she said, "Wow, this team just really likes each other. You can tell they genuinely love one another. And you can see them all coming together, hugging each other." And it's so true. It reminds me of when Giannis won his championship. Giannis won and then walked away from everyone and just sat alone on a chair. He just sat there by himself. And here you have Wembanyama winning, and he's immediately trying to find everyone. He's wrapping his gigantic arms around as many people as he can. And he's crying, and it's just such an amazing moment. And yet you have people trying to tear that moment down. Oh, that's why they're going to lose, or oh, the job's not finished, all that kind of talk. Showing too much emotion. And you can see the conversations just getting weirder and weirder and weirder. You see the hatred bubbling up to the surface. You see it. It's very clear. Once upon a time everyone loved OKC. And then they started winning, and the reaction shifted to, "No, we don't like them anymore. No, with all the flopping and the free throws. We don't like them." And it's really interesting to me how New York has how positioned themselves as the savior of it all. That's kind of fascinating to me. And I get it, because Jalen Brunson's story is great, and all of that. Brown and all of it. So, I understand, but this is the present. This is the future. This is the Spurs and Wembanyama. And this is this young core, literally on their path to greatness. That is what we are witnessing. The New York Knicks are a really good story. It's a great story. An awesome story. The Spurs? It's a legend. It's a myth. It's an entire universe. The Knicks are a Disney Plus 6-episode miniseries. The Spurs are the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. Redefining an entire industry. That's what the MCU did. That's what Robert Downey Jr. did. He redefined a billion-dollar industry. And he redefined how movies can be made, and how you can have all these interconnected storylines. And that's the Spurs. That's Wembanyama. So, again, there are levels to this. There are deep, deep, deep levels to this. The Knicks are like a really great TV show. An awesome TV show. I'm trying to think of a good mini-series that was really awesome, that makes you say, "Wow, this is great. I really, really like this." On Netflix, that Rabbit one with Jason Bateman. I forget what it's called. The White Rabbit or something with Rabbit. That one right there. Awesome show. If you haven't watched it, highly recommend it. Great show. Great show. Just a mini-series. Didn't redefine television. Didn't show us what's possible. It didn't show us what the future will entail. So, it's still great, still awesome to watch. Still love it. Still recommend it to others. But one day, you will not be able to tell the story of basketball without talking about Wembanyama and the Spurs. Those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you all think about Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs? I love how the question is he already the NBA's biggest star? How many times are we going to ask this question? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. The answer is yes, okay? The answer is yes. And Colin says, "Oh, it's a win-win situation whether the Knicks win or whether the Spurs win." And I'm saying, no, it's not. No, it's not. Wembanyama winning and the Spurs winning again, it's redefining the NBA. It's a myth. It's a legend. It's a biblical story. There are levels to this. There are levels to this. So, let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions, get into some arguments, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you be a part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing that. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help with visible. ITY and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.